Confession of the 13th. I was never meant to speak. They never taught me how. My tongue learned words by listening through vents, through cracks in laboratory doors, through the breath of the man I was made to replace. I am number 13, though the technicians whisper a softer name when they thought we were sedated. Redundancies. 13 bodies. 13 chances. 13 failures. Until me. My original, the man whose genome is my spine, was dying. Fading. His heart was salt-worn and hollow, and his mind slipped like water through cupped hands. They wanted to preserve him, his brilliance, his legacy, his presence. But the body could not be saved. So they made us. The first clone woke screaming and never stopped until they turned off the machines. The second tore out his feeding lines in confusion. The third laughed, an awful, wrong laugh, and tried to claw the face off anyone who came close. They learned something new with every failure. By the time they reached me, they understood how to make a copy that wouldn't break on emergence, or so they thought. You see, I remembered their deaths. Not as memories, not as images, as sensations burned into the marrow I inherited. A phantom pain when I flexed my fingers because number 6 snapped his on the chamber glass. A shortness of breath at night because number 9 drowned during an oxygen collapse. A blistering heat under my skin whenever I feel anger because number 11 burned alive when a sterilization unit malfunctioned. I feel them, all of them, every version of me that wasn't allowed to live. I kept that secret. I kept many secrets. But they also taught me about my original. They prepared me to take his place. Voice therapy, posture molding, behavioral conditioning. They showed me his photos, his recordings, his journals. They whispered his accomplishments into my dreams. I became him before I ever stepped into the world. And then the night came. The night they unplugged him. Do you know the strange thing about watching the man you were copied from die? His last breath felt like my first. When they sent me out, clothed, documented, instructed, I was perfect. No one questioned the sudden energy in my step, the clear eyes where there had been confusion, or the steadiness in the hands that once trembled. I lived as him. I worked as him. I slept in his bed and sat in his favorite chair and smiled at the people who believed he had recovered. But perfection is fragile. It began with reflections. For a fraction of a second, I saw not myself but the others. Faces twisted by pain. A dozen ghosts compressed into my skin. I blinked and the images vanished. But each time it happened, another part of me slipped. Then came the nights when I heard knocking from inside my skull, like something wanted out. They aren't memories. They aren't hallucinations. They are claims. Every version of me that died believes they deserve existence more than I do. They scratch at my mind in the dark hours, wanting their turn to wear this body, the only body that survived. And lately, they're getting stronger. Last night, I woke standing over the bed watching my wife, his wife, sleep. And the mirror across the room showed 12 faces behind mine, smiling. I know what they want. I know what I was always meant to be. A vessel. A placeholder. A mask worn by whoever can push their way into the light. I don't know how long I'll remain the one writing this. If someone else takes over, if another version of me begins moving these hands, you'll know. Because he won't ask for help. He'll come looking for the people who created us. And I fear that he won't stop with them. Confession of Dr. Hartwell, Architect of the Redundancies. I do not expect forgiveness. I only hope that by writing this I can finally stop hearing their voices. I was the lead geneticist on Project Continuum, a sanitized name, carefully chosen so no one would dwell on what we were actually doing. Building a man piece by piece, then building him again and again, until one version survived the process long enough to replace the original. The original man, the donor, was not special in a moral sense. He was brilliant, yes, but also ruthless, territorial, and afraid. Afraid of death, of failure, of insignificance. He had money and influence, and he used both to demand mortality. I was naive enough to believe we could give it to him. I oversaw every creation. I watched each new life flicker into being under the glow of artificial wombs. My job was to guide their development, adjust variables, and erase imperfections. But you cannot mass-produce a human soul. You cannot debug a consciousness. We tried anyway. Clone 1. He opened his eyes and screamed. He knew something that he could not yet articulate. When we tried to sedate him, he said a word none of us expected. Again. No one taught him that word. We shut down his pod to prevent neurological overload. That was the official phrasing. Clone 4. He lasted longest, 12 full hours. But he kept trying to hold his chest shut, as if something were trying to pry its way out from within his ribs. He begged us to let him die properly this time. He had no memories, no experiences, but he felt the dying. That was when I realized they weren't blank slates. They were sponges. They were absorbing the trauma embedded in the lingering echoes of the donor's failing mind. Fragments of death, of fear, of decay. Each clone inherited not only his biology, but his unraveling. By 13, I should have stopped. He seemed stable, balanced, quiet. Too quiet. He studied us, mimicked us, perfectly. He didn't ask the questions the others asked. He didn't fight the conditioning. He accepted everything. But there was something in his eyes, as if he knew he wasn't alone. The night we decommissioned the original, I told myself 13 was ready, that this one final cruelty, the extinguishing of the man he was meant to replace, would not affect him. I was wrong. The first sign. 3 days after integration, I received footage from his home, night vision camera. 13 sitting upright on the edge of the marital bed, staring into a mirror, not moving, not speaking. But the reflection moved first. Not a glitch, not a malfunction. I deleted the footage, not to protect him, to protect myself from knowing exactly what I had created. The letter. Last week, a handwritten envelope arrived on my desk. Inside was a single line. We all remember you. Not I, we. I have not slept since. There are footsteps outside my door now. Soft, measured, familiar. I know it's him, or them, or all of them wearing the same skin. I feel cold breath at the back of my neck as I write this. I deserve whatever comes next. I took one man's life and distilled it into 13 suffering souls. I taught them to want, to hurt, to fail. I made 13 perfect. I made the others angry. And now they have finally decided which version of themselves deserve to exist. Not the one that I created, but the one that is coming for me.